the way the whole forum looks at India. They look at India not only because of its fundamentals, they're looking at India because of a young population, they're looking at India because of disposable incomes, and they're looking at India really with their mouths open, which was never the case before. And I think they are now comprehending that India is the place to be in.
Clearly, India the place to be in, but one weak area for India, Mr. Minister Nath, continues to be its infrastructure, and that's something that you've been brought in to really fix. An ambitious target of 20 kilometers a day. How much of that have we really achieved?
Well, we were at about 2 kilometers. We are now just past 10 kilometers a day, and I had said within 1 year we'll do 20. So we are heading towards that. I believe that in April we'll hit it 2 months earlier. And when we talk of doing 20 kilometers a day, we talk of doing 7,000 kilometers
a
year. And you talk of doing 7,000 kilometers a year. That means you've got to have 20,000 kilometers of work in progress. And when you talk of 20,000 kilometers of work in progress, you're talking of $50 billion of work in progress. So it's a huge management exercise also. The ability to manage so many projects, the ability to manage such a scale. And I believe that this is going to add 1.5 to 2% to our GDP.
Right. If I can just, if you're getting slightly distracted by that voice, which you can hear is coming from that tent, it's Bill Clinton who's down there in that tent right below us speaking. You know, his voice is sort of reverberating in our ears a little bit. But that aside, today at the session and in all the meetings that we've heard so far, whenever India was mentioned, they keep on talking about two crucial areas which India has to fix. One of them, of course, is infrastructure, which Shweta was referring about. The second is education. Do you think it's, in a sense, indicative of what the UPA government is doing that they've got two of the more dynamic ministers and they put them in here, surface transport and human resource development? But that's what, are you hearing that in Davos as well, that those are the two biggest things for India?
Absolutely. Everybody talks of India's infrastructure because it's this infrastructure deficit which really is our growth deficit. And you know, we are moving along in industrial production with all our fundamental savings, investments, ratios, all those being all right. Then what is not? And glaringly, you see the infrastructure deficit.
Right.
So if we are able to bridge this infrastructure deficit, I really think that we would have really arrived.
But you know, there's one difference when you try and do it and when the Chinese try and do it. When the Chinese try to build a road, they build a road. Here, in land use is just one of the problems that you're trying to tackle. Getting people out of the way is next to impossible. And there are politicians who end up buying large, pockets of land all around wherever projects are coming up. You know all the issues. Are we ever going to be able to build road at anywhere close to the rate that the Chinese are, that we will need to at some point?
Well, we got the second largest road network in the world. Our road network is bigger than the Chinese.
We are in awful shape right now.
3.4 million kilometers, 34 lakh kilometers. That's why the challenge.
Most of them don't work. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because when we say 34 lakh kilometers, we have only 70,000 which are national highways, and out of the 70,000, 16,500 are one lane.
Yeah, I mean, there are 29 lakhs of those are 29 lakhs kilometers of potholes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is the deficit which I'm talking about.
Okay.
And this is what's going to impact, I think, trade, industry, and agriculture. I believe that China has its own model, and we have to have a model. I don't see land as being a contentious issue because the value of land goes up. So people whose land is going, there are no huge chunks. It's 10 meters this side, 20 meters that side. So it's not a combative issue. It's the process.
Okay.
The process to acquire it is what we were struggling with.
When we talk of India versus China, you're talking about the growth deficit coming from lack of infrastructure. As much as 1.5 to 2% you're saying will be added to the GDP if you're able to fix that infrastructure problem. You've always been giving ambitious targets. Many of your critics will perhaps say that these numbers need to result in real implementation on the ground. When you talk of that number of 1.5 to 2%, would you put a year to it? By when do you think the infrastructure problem will be fixed and this will lead to a resultant 2% addition to India's GDP?
Well, the moment we build 7,000 kilometers, which we are going to start building, that is 20 kilometers a day, which I had said from June of this year, I hope we can do it April. I can even advance it. I'm not saying I will, but I'm hoping I would be. We would be adding 1.5% to 2% to GDP just with 7,000 kilometers. But our deficit is so large because it's just not the deficit we are bridging. It's the increased demand and demands on infrastructure which are also coming in. Where we did not have traffic on so many roads, we got huge amount of traffic on those roads. Again, that's because of our demographics, because of a very young population we have. That's a great advantage. Disposable incomes in rural India. Vehicles. if you see vehicles, the auto show, auto export in India, the biggest which is ever held, and 100 cars being shown, vehicles being shown, 10 global launches. Who would have thought that?
Tuba.com